Gilberta's banner is finally here, and between her immensely useful mob gathering, ability to boost her allies' ultimate gain efficiency, as well as strong team-wide buffs, she's a decent supportive pick all around. There is, however, a system that the game doesn't tell you about that's particularly relevant to her. I'm not talking about the little things, like how dashing twice lets her ride her staff and gracefully glide around. Instead, it's a universal game mechanic that has some significant implications in most teams' rotations, and if properly optimized, can open up brand new ways to align skills. In fact, the footage here was very much chosen with intent. After all, something that should be impossible is happening here, and the reason for it are time stops. Before going into it in detail, I should mention that this video is sponsored by Griffline, the publishers of Arknights Endfield. Use the link in the description and pins to register or just download the game. Time stop is inherent to a large number of skills and effects in Endfield. Compared to a regular dodge, you may have noticed that a perfect dodge will bring with it a momentary slowdown of the game. The same is true when using a combo skill on an operator, when an enemy first enters into a staggered state, and of course, while you're in an ultimate cutscene, during which the game effectively pauses. As it turns out, time stop as a mechanic can be used for certain kinds of niche tech. Some operators, like Catcher or Snowshine, have skills that can block enemies and make characters within their area of effect invulnerable to an attack. To make these skills more attractive, they tend to have the added effect of returning SP, making their effective cost be lower than regular skills. This isn't necessarily all that great though, as perfect dodges can also provide you with SP recovery. And recovery is better than return, as the latter doesn't count for ultimate energy generation. What's cool is that by exploiting the time stop feature, you don't have to sacrifice one for the other. If you perfect dodge, time will stop, but not your inputs, so you can use a parry skill on reaction and benefit from both the perfect dodge and the skill. It's a way to have your cake and eat it too, very easily getting SP from both, which in some cases, like in the last right team with Snowshine, helps align resources in such a way that allows for faster cryo stack infliction. This alone though, isn't actually all that good a tech. Realistically, it'd be better off running supportive characters that provide more meaningful damage buffs, like Ardelia or Akikuri. And the tech itself is more style over substance. You can still dodge even with the invulnerability from the parry, so doing it on reaction isn't really all that useful. In fact, some attacks, like certain red area marker attacks, do not linger for long enough for skills to cast in time if used after a perfect dodge, leading to an outright loss of SP over parrying first. It's only really all that useful for situations where you quite literally wouldn't have had the SP to make use of the skill if not for the perfect dodge recovery, in which case it does matter. There are, however, more useful niche tags that make use of time stop. At first glance, these pauses really do seem to be absolute, with even projectiles stopping in midair and the whole game coming to a halt. Take Wolfguard and his potential 5. This allows him to reset the cooldown of his combo skill when using an ultimate, and the way that combo and battle skills work is that they only generate ultimate energy when enemies are hit. Since Wolfguard's combo skill is a projectile, it's then possible to cast it, then use his ultimate before it lands, getting the ultimate energy despite using the combo skill when maxed out. The combo skill then triggers itself, allowing to cycle through skills a lot faster and being critical to some advanced Lavatane rotations. Text aside, there is a far more useful and universal application of time stops. If you take a close look at a character's info in combat, you notice something interesting. Whether it's from perfect dodges or combo skills, whatever it may be, buffs don't tick down when time stop is active. Neither does SP recover. The same is true for enemies. Debuffs don't tick down either, and if they are staggered, have their stagger bar also pause. Even set effects must work within the constraints of time stop. Swordmaster, for example, has a 15-second cooldown on its stagger bonus, but even if you wait a full 15 seconds to apply another physical status, assuming that you had some kind of time stop in between, like perfect dodges, you still won't get the set effect. That's because the set's timer was also affected by time stop. You'd think this makes it a balanced mechanic. There is no great disadvantage, as you aren't losing out on buff uptime or stagger meter, nor is there any great advantage with pause speed recovery and set effects. However, there are two things that do not stop. The first of which is massively important for rotations and optimization at a high level. Note how when a combo skill is used, the cooldown begins to tick straight away. It doesn't wait for the time stop to finish. That's because it's immune to most time stops. If you stagger multiple different combo skills, the game may seem to be paused for an extended period, but the cooldown is still ticking. This may seem like a bug or oversight, but I'd argue it isn't. I did say it was immune to most time stops, not all, as Arknight's combo skill does pause other operators' combo skill timers. I suppose it'd be a little too overpowered if one could make use of low combo skill cooldowns for this. From my tests, Alish is the only other operator whose combo skill will pause timers. And simply because they pause others' timers doesn't mean they themselves are immune. Let's take Arknight as an example. She has a very low combo skill cooldown, but it does have a cooldown. If you were to inflict electrification, then use her combo skill and immediately chain into her battle skill, that is too fast. Her combo skill cooldown hasn't expired, so she doesn't get another use of it on consuming electrification. But say we use other combo skills after Arknights and abuse their time stop. Now this is no longer the case. Even with an immediate battle skill being used after, we get a combo skill trigger. Ultimates work for this too. All time stops do. In fact, it's possible to have Arknight use her combo skill again before it has even finished casting. It's this kind of exploit that makes the impossible possible. When any kind of arts or physical status is inflicted on an enemy, it begins a timer. This isn't visible like debuffs are, but the statuses themselves do run out, where if they aren't consumed for a reaction or no further stacks are built, they expire after 20 seconds. This makes Gilberta look a little out of place. After all, her combo skill applies lift, a physical status, and her ultimate scales with this. The more vulnerability stacks from the target, the stronger it gets, with it getting a 3% increase to its art susceptibility effect per stack when at Mastery 1 or above. Except that Gilberta isn't a physical unit, not just in the sense of her element, but her utility. The ultimate gives arts susceptibility, not physical. You'd think then that her combo skill would at the very least enable this, but it too has a cooldown of 20 seconds. You could be frame perfect in your execution and it wouldn't make a difference. Her Mastery 3 does reduce its cooldown to 19 seconds, but as it turns out, you really don't need it to get more stacks. Which brings us to the clip from the start. In theory, it should be impossible for there to be more than one vulnerability stack on the enemy on an electric team. Gilberta is the only one capable of building it, and her cooldowns don't align with a fall-off timer. As we know now though, this doesn't actually matter. By making use of staggers, other operators' combo skills, and ultimates, Gilberta has no issue maintaining this. If time allows, you could very well build up to 4 vulnerability stacks with her and her alone, slowly ramping up the susceptibility increase from her ultimate if properly managed. This is because, as with most other timers in the game, status fall-offs do get affected by Timestop. It's only 20 seconds if you do nothing, but when you factor in operator ultimates, combo skills, and even just plain old perfect dodging, you can be looking at almost 30 seconds before it drops. For electric teams, rotations align in such a way you can build 3 stacks in time for a stagger burst. Timing it around Gilberta's combo skill cooldown doesn't really need one to delay other character skills that are important, like Perlica's, which means it's very important to maximizing burst. And I don't mean it just in electric or with Gilberta, but generally. Lavatine, for example, can effectively get her combo skill to recover in the time it takes to do just one ultimate basic string with it, assuming that she has the SP to use an enhanced battle skill at the very end. It has implications when looking at Kia too. OBJ Arts identifier buffs on combo skill use. Since buff timers pause but not combo skills, Antal can manage a greater uptime on its effect than what you might otherwise see if only looking at a sheet. Then there's debuffs and potentials. Perlica's Potential 1 increases her electrification duration, which is paused by time stops, but not her combo skill, which is what applies it. With how much arts intensity she can get when properly geared, and the absurd amount of arts damage that electrification bestows, this increases her value as it too gets more uptime in practice. When you put all of these together, you can craft rotations that allow for much faster clear times, with better buff and debuff alignment on top of more combo skill uses per rotation. So let's have a look at one that does just that. All of this Timestop business sounds great, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are problems that arise as a result. Take an Ardelia Gilberta comp. Ardelia needs enemies to not have inflictions, but Gilberta applies vulnerability with her combo skill, all the while having no way to consume it, leading to an anti-synergy of sorts. On paper, that's not much of a problem. After all, Ardelia's combo skill cooldown is 18 seconds. Considering that vulnerability stacks drop in 20 seconds, it isn't all that bad. Except that when you try it, Timestop effects means that Ardelia's combo skill is up long before that. You aren't looking at 2 seconds, more like 4, 5, even longer. By then, Gilberta's combo skill is triggering again and you don't even have the chance to get Ardelia's. And there were, after all, 2 things that Timestop does not influence, the second of which can actually be harmful to you, that being stage timers. If you were to load into a protocol space, no matter how many combo skills or ultimates are used, the time that you have to clear it will continue to tick down. The same is true for trimmed medals. For those that are not aware, Path of Glory medals can be enhanced by meeting certain criteria, like killing a boss within a certain period of time. These timers too do not care about Timestop. If you're spending a good 2 to 3 seconds staggering your combo skills, it may seem like a good idea, but that might be the difference between getting a trim and failing to do so. If we go by closed beta test 2 behaviors, Umbral Monument timers are no different. While clearing it within time constraints really shouldn't be all that difficult, if you're the kind that's looking to build characters and optimize rotations, then Task clear times are a goal. What I'm trying to say is that if you're sitting there spamming dodges and relishing in all of the extra SP you get, that might not actually be such a good idea, as unless these extra resources are making up for the time loss, it isn't worth it. Timestop makes rotations feel shorter, but they aren't actually any faster. The longer you spend in them, the less time you have to clear. So if you don't absolutely need it for a specific rotation or to align skills, you want as few time stops as possible. This does seem like a bit of a weird thing to aim for though, considering that time stop happens naturally with skills. Thing is, time stop does not stack with itself, it overwrites itself. Dodging, then using a combo skill after will suffer from both pauses, but doing them simultaneously does not. If you were to use a combo skill, then that combo skill causes a stagger, that's two separate pauses. But if used at the same time, this isn't an issue. And of course, overlapping multiple combo skills has the same result, cutting the previous time stop short. So rather than staggering skills, there are circumstances where it's better to speed through them. 3 seconds of time stop is 3 seconds you could be working to final strikes or just doing damage. Is that 3 to 9% susceptibility on Gilberta's ultimate really worth the extra seconds of deliberate slowdown needed to get it? In most cases, yes it is. Considering how strong and undiluted susceptibility is, in an electric team at least, where all of the bursts is loaded in a 5-second period, it absolutely is worth the trade-off. If you're pushing for a 15-second kill speedrun with P5 weapons, maybe not so much, but when runs drag out for longer, staggering time stops is a much lower proportion of the time spent. It takes far longer than the few seconds spent on time stop to make up for the damage loss from susceptibility if you aren't able to 1 or 2 stagger kill. Not all time stops are worth using though, since later time stops override previous ones, it can lead to awkward interactions. Perlica, if placed before Aviwenna on the party order, will have her combo skill trigger first. But if you were to use both in quick succession, Aviwenna's combo skill will end before Perlica's, missing out on the damage bonus from electrification. Remember that time stop will hold even projectiles mid-air, so not being aware of its behavior can mean setting up your team in the wrong order. Of course, you could just wait for the time stop to expire and then go on to the next, but not only is that staggering time stops, it means that the skill used first is going on cooldown earlier than the second, and that too can misalign rotations if not well managed. There are so many layers to this that it's genuinely overwhelming. The more I've played this game, the more I've realized that a sizable portion of the advanced rotations depend on this mechanic to align buffs and cooldowns. Honestly, the game would feel a lot slower without it, and by knowing when and when not to exploit it, not only does the game feel faster, but you'll be clearing faster too. How you make use of it though will ultimately ride on your comp and rotation. Maybe you intentionally make use of it to help build vulnerability stacks for Gilberta, or work around it to make sure all of your damaging skills benefit from buffs. Or maybe you overlap them, trying to shave as many seconds off as possible in a speedrun, or make deliberate use of it to reverse the order in which combo skills hit enemies. Considering that this is a universal mechanic that's integral to how combat functions, there's a lot of promise here. But it is still very early days. The amount of people optimizing to this extent are minuscule, and even those that are, working out how this influences rotations isn't easy, so we definitely need a lot more time before seeing everything Enfield's combat has to offer. And if you are interested in seeing more breakdowns of fundamental game mechanics like this one, want detailed character guides, or even just niche tag, why not like, share, subscribe and ring the bell? I've got more videos coming. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.